tech check with the sound of the voice.
Vamos a comprobar que funciona bien el sonido.
Okay, we can start. Hola, hello, welcome, good morning. I can do a couple of languages, but I will stay to English today. Welcome to every of you, and welcome to everybody who is online, looking at us from the stream. We have great interest here. The room is nearly full, and I'm sure that behind your screens, you're ready to go and follow something really super exciting. And this is the Zinemaldia Startup Challenge that I officially declare open right now. Because yes, the audiovisual industry is undergoing profound changes, and it is mostly because of the emerging of new technologies coming up. Blockchain, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, big data, language technologies, etc., etc. They are already incorporated into the audiovisual industry, into different processes, and they help us to create new narratives, but also new business models opportunity. So this is really why it's important to have these conversations at the crossing between technology and content. And I'm AC Coppens. I will be your host today for this Zinemaldia Startup Challenge. I am the founder of The Catalyst, an agency based in Berlin, and our specialty is the intercrossing between technology and content. And this is why I have been invited, and it is a pleasure and an honor for me today to introduce you to this format and to call first our three guests who will make a short introduction. Why is it happening here in San Sebastian, at the festival, but also at Tabacalera. And I will call on stage now José Luis Rebordinos, the director of the San Sebastian Film Festival. Please.
Buenos días a todas y a todos.
Good morning, everyone. Eskerrik asko, as we say in the Basque language. Thank you for being here. We are thrilled that once again our Cinema and Technology Day can be held in person, face to face. We're online too, and the pandemic has had some good things about it. The remote technologies, being able to be in touch in line is here to stay, but we're not going to give up on meeting in person. Let me remind you that for our film festival, this activity, the event today, is fundamental. Technologies and changes that are really making our industry, the audiovisual industry, change. That's why we think it's fundamental to hear about you with projects, and so that we can continue to gather know-how and knowledge. I would also like to thank the organizers of the event today, because we, the organizers of the film festival, are not at the forefront of technologies. That's why I would like to thank Tabacalera, mostly the 2 Video Laboratory, Vicomtech, all the sponsors that have made this day possible. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, José. And this time,
thank you so much, José.
Ormazabai, who is the director of Tabacalera, our host place to play today.
Egunon guztioi. Egunon Tabacaleraren.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to our day here today. We're going to be talking about technology, and I would like to welcome you to our new edition of Zinemaldia Technology. And we are here for 2 different reasons this year. in June, we had the video Zinemaldia and Technology event with a very similar objective as we have for today, having a meeting point as a way to share our needs, the needs that we find in the audiovisual industry, in the film industry, and to try and find new and better solutions through technologies that progress and change non-stop. This is our objective, very much so at Tabacalera, our creation center, and also within the hub that we're part of. Let me tell you that we are thrilled to have people from the Zinemaldia Film Festival, from technology centers, so many of you here and online. Thank you, and make the most of your day today.
Place where we have narratives of the future. So I think it is the excellent place to have this contest here. And finally, to finish this trio infernale to the future, I'm going to invite on stage José Balaka, the director of the ICT division at Technalia.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you to everybody that is working on this event. Welcome, and we hope that for you that you are following this event on streaming, it will be as interesting for those that we are here in the room today. Obviously, we hope that the next Zinemaldia Technology will have much more people here in the room, and they will have plenty of networking opportunities. Technalia and Vicontech, you see there the two logos, we are both members of what we call the Basque Research and Technology Alliance. It's an alliance that promotes technology and the applications of technology, of new technologies, to very different sectors. And a few years ago, when we met with José Luis and Edurne, and we were thinking, let's do something different in Zinemaldia. Let's try to push these technologies and have a meeting point, as Edurne was saying, between who is creating these narratives, these new ideas on the audiovisual and the cinema industries, and those that are promoting these technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchains, and so on. And I think that this is already the 4th edition of the Zinemaldia Technology and the 3rd one of the Startup Challenge. And what we see is that year by year, we are getting more attention, better ideas, and more traction. So for those that you are following this on streaming, and for those that you are here, just for you to know that if you ever think on making your project here in the Basque Country, you will find an alliance. You will find an alliance of technology centers and researchers and professionals that are all but looking for you to do as best as possible and make a good business and use those technologies in order to go to next level. So thank you very much, and I hope that for you following streaming and for you that here in the room, you will find interesting the event, and we'll have some networking opportunities later on. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we can start into the real digging thing into technology and the future. You can look forward to the presentation of the projects selected, and I think there are 3 coming from Spain this year. This competition of the Zinemaldia Startup Challenge is promoted by the Basque Government Department of Economic Development, Sustainability and the Environment. And this is for now. At 12:30, we will have the roundtable on virtual production, which is the, I would say, organic continuation of what is happening here. And then it will be a journey to the future of cinema, obviously. And after the roundtable, we will have the award ceremony, where the well-deserving winner will have this 10,000 euro. And as we know, the 5 finalists, at any case, have the possibility of working at an incubation space at a BIC, a Business Innovation Center, in the Basque Country Technology Park network, and they will have access, possibly, to a funding of up to 500,000 euros to develop their project. So I think this is already a very good thing here to promote the future. So before we really start, there are 3 important people here in this room. They have been coming here, and I'm going to introduce you to a wonderful jury. We have, let's say, gentlemen first for once. Let's start with Francisco. He's the first here on the right. Francisco Daria. He's currently leading the New Media, Edge and Software Technologies unit at Atos Research and Innovation. He has over 20 years working experience in the scientific areas that includes new media, interactive technologies, accessibility, user-centric interface, gamification technologies, and large software R&D projects. I mean, I think he knows what he's talking about, right? So he has coordinated the Horizon 2020 Pro-Social Learn project. I really need to say this one. It's a long title, but I found it really great. Gamification of pro-social learning for increased youth inclusion and academic achievement. I think it is great to promote the youth, and it is great to have more inclusion. So thank you very much to be with us, Francesco, and to be part of this jury. Then I will go on with, yeah, yes. It's not only the startups, right? I mean, there are people who are working here. Then we have Anoya Aispuru. She's a project manager at the BIEC Giboskoa Berilan. Technology incubator manager. Well, it means managing, obviously, the reception and the evaluation also of business projects. So it is more the business angle here. She is specialized in consultation for innovation and technological projects and promoting also the entrepreneurial culture. So I think this is great that we have Anoa here with us. Thank you very much. And the third of this wonderful jury trio is Sarah Bamba. Sarah is the founding partner of the audiovisual production company Helsinki Films and of the post-production studio Elora, where she is also editor and producer herself. She's currently developing her first feature film and her first series, Benalomar, which has been selected at the CIMA Impulsa with the support of Netflix and ICAA. And okay, I could tell you a little bit more about this film, but I'm going to stop there. She has taught directing. She's the coordinator of the advanced program for filmmakers at the ECAM. She is also a member of the Directed by Women Spain Film Festival. Yes, and is now a programmer at CIMA and Corto and the Conofest Festival. Here we have also a very clear angle. So you see, we have a wonderful jury with three very nice different perspectives. Thank you, Sarah, to be this with us. Thank you, jury. So you know how it does work, right? I don't need to tell you so much about it. It will be 6-minute sharp pitching, and I am the CTO. I have brought my chronometer, and everybody has 6-minute sharp. Yes. And then after the pitches, there is one, possibly two, let us see, because I'm also in charge of the timing afterwards, question of the jury. The pitcher will stay on stage and answer the question of the jury. And that's it. We will have 5 times this little game, 6 minutes plus 5 minutes. And we will start this series. I'm going to introduce them. We'll start this series with kinetics. And it will be, I mean, I'm not going to tell you so much about it. Actually, I can tell you, there will be kinetics for those in the streaming line waiting for their hero to be on stage. So it will be first kinetics. You can calculate how many minutes and decide when you watch it. Kinetics, Clipworks, OWO Entertainment, Panoramic Plates, and Recorder will be in this chronological order, and which is actually alphabetical order. It's very scientific here. And wait for your hero, but watch them all. Otherwise, you cannot compare them and understand the award-winning situation, which will be at 1:45. Okay, well then, if you're ready, are you ready to go? I will introduce now kinetics. I think that Yacine Tahi, together with Henri Mirand, but Yacine is going to come here to present the project, because if you ever watch a film or a video and you thought it would be cool to watch it in 3D, this is what you have to watch for. Let's go, kinetics.
3D animation is one of the biggest bottlenecks and costs for production studios. The industry will amount for more than $100 billion by 2025 in the filmmaking, VFX, and audiovisual production. 3D animation is very important because it allows to all the producers to tell their stories. We all remember those characters from our childhood, like Cinderella, Mickey, because we can all relate to them thanks to the power of animation. But how animation is made today? There are 2 ways of producing 3D animation. The first one, it's called Keyframe. Basically, a 3D animator will take a 3D character and animate it like a puppet. To produce only 1 minute of video, it will take more than 6 weeks of manual work and very tedious and extremely technical work. An animator at Pixar, for instance, during his whole life, he will produce only 1 minute of 3D animation. The other technique, it's called motion capture. You all seen these players with all the sensors in their body and the green screen to extract the motion and make it accessible to the creatives. But this costs a lot and is only accessible for a minority of studios, the biggest ones. At Kinetics, we're developing a unique technology that allows to use deep learning algorithms to extract a motion using a simple video of phone camera and without any sensor. As you can see in the video that will be projected, we're able to recognize a movement from a video, from a character, and extract the motion out of it in a few seconds. We're developing a platform, I don't know if you can see the video, but maybe it's projected to show how it works. But basically, yeah. So this is a video that was taken with a single camera, and this is the output of our AI that can be then transferred to a lot of different characters that can be used in video games, in cinema, in VFX, in all audiovisual production. Around this core technology, we're building an end-to-end platform that allows to automate the whole workflow for producers, from the generation of the animation to the transfer from this animation to a character or an avatar with a wide library of characters, but you can also import your own character, to the collaboration that we're bringing because we're doing all this in SaaS in the cloud. But also we're developing and thinking a lot of filters with AI so that people can go way further than just copying the reality, but also being able to be creative and interact with this generation and 3D. So the value added of Kinetics for professional is to reduce and optimize their workflow so that they can produce more at a lower cost and very efficiently. But we're also enabling millions of creatives, designers, producers that are doing 2D today to access 3D animation, which is extremely technical. So we're creating a whole new market for 3D, and we want to be, if we do the parallel with Canva or Figma, we're doing the same, bringing this medium to the 3D, so to allow all the creatives to access 3D animation. In less than a year, we already grew organically a community of more than 3,000 animators and built partnerships with some of the biggest studios in France, such as TF1 Production, West France, and Havas as well. We gathered a team of 15 amazing engineers, researchers, and developers, and the founding team is composed of very complementary profiles. Henry, my co-founder who is here, has been working for several years in research of deep learning applied to 3D. He worked, for instance, at Dynamic Seas, the leading facial animation motion capture studio. And Philippe, our other co-founder, worked 20 years in 3D production and software development. For myself, I come from a venture capital background. I worked in strategic consulting in AI projects and grow communities of users in my previous experiences. Our next steps today is to keep improving our AI by bringing more data and partnership with studios, keep investing in our platform to automate it and make more and more people able to use our technology and access this medium of 3D production. And also, of course, keep improving our AI by adding hand animation and facial animation. Our next step will be to fundraise a 3 million round beginning of 2022 and keep developing partnerships with studios. Thank you.
No, you stay here.
No, sorry.
Just still had 45 seconds, but it's okay. Okay, dear jury, do you have a question for Kinetics and Yassine?
Actually, I have some questions. First of all, congrats for the solution. Is very, very interesting. I have 3 questions. I will be very fast. from 3 different angles. The first is the performance. How much time your solution needs for render 1 minute, and in terms of scalability, if your solution is able to render 30 minutes of video. The second is about the impact. If your solution somehow use open source tools, and if this is the case, good. And finally, exploitation future plans. Your characters seems to be something already there, but could be very interesting if you can create avatars starting from the actors that appears in the video.
Okay. Henry will help me answer some questions, especially the technical ones. So for the first question about the time needed, I'll let Henry answer the question.
Yeah, I'll take for the technical questions. So the first question was, how much time do we need to compute a 1 minute video? It was about 1 minute to compute. Like, it depends obviously of the size of the video and the quality, but it's about the time of the video itself.
Okay, and about the scalability, 30 minutes?
The scalability of what?
30 minutes of video. Is able your solution to render 30 minutes of video?
Yeah, it's quite the same. It will scale how much as you need for the scale of the video.
Okay, do you have any boundaries? Have you tested for, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours?
No, not boundaries, but if you put a 1 hour video, you will have to wait for 1 hour to see the results.
Indeed.
So it's easier if you feel like 5 minutes, you check the results.
Okay. And what about the open source?
Yeah, we don't really use much of open source. We redid everything on research, so we own our intellectual property on this deep learning algorithm.
Okay, and the last was about the characters.
Yeah,
maybe on this one. So today, there are companies that are working on using AI to generate characters, and we chose to focus on animation. So we're partnering with these companies. Actually, we're integrating this week in the platform a company that is able to generate your avatar with your face. So you put a picture and it generates the body and your face. And you can automatically apply it, because we have the right standards, to our animation. Because we cannot do everything, we decided to focus on animation.
Sorry for interrupting. What about the emotions?
The motion is captured.
Emotions.
Emotions.
Yeah.
So, as you know, it's the job of 3D animators to bring emotions, and we let this part of the job to the animators to do that. So we want to help them, provide them with the tools to save time, but the emotion will always be brought by the human part of the...
Okay. Again, great work.
Thank you so much.
We still have 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We can go on. Another question from the jury? Okay, well then, thank you very much, and we're going to go to the next speech.
Thank you.
And the next speech will be Clipworks. In the last 2 years, we have been watching a lot of content, obviously, a lot of broadcasts online. You'll see much more than usual. And let's be honest, not all of them were in the best quality. And I think that Clipworks is working exactly at this angle. So I call on stage from the team of Asger Ries Rasmussen and Peter Nikolai Trinka. And I think it is Asger who is going to present this. Thank you, Asger. Let's go. 6 minutes.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here after 10 años he vivido en Barcelona, pero hay que
I was living in Barcelona for 10 years, but my Spanish is not brilliant.
So for the last 10 years, I was a journalist at the Danish Broadcasting, doing news on both sides of the camera, back, of course, in Denmark. And this was some of the scenes that I did, but normally, to be honest, I was sitting somewhere in this newsroom trying to handle the material coming in from all over the world, people who wanted to share their content with us, amateurs, professionals, whoever, and try to put that into a TV show. And we can all agree that the use of smartphone video has evolved over the past 10 years, even over the past 5 years it's exploded, right? But somehow the technology hasn't evolved the same speed. So every time that I was in contact with people getting the material in, I would have a one-on-one dialogue saying, I want you to record this video okay, sure, and okay, how do I get it to you guys? Even in a big broadcasting like we believe in Denmark that we are at the forefront of the technology, right? So even in the big media house like the Danish Broadcasting, we were using WeTransfer, FTP servers, Dropbox, emails even. There was no really standard for getting that material from A to B. So we had two confusing parts here. Me on the one side trying to act as a tech supporter, for the people on the other side trying to submit their video to us so that we could put it in the TV show. So this is why Peter, Nicola, and I decided 2 years ago to create Clipworks. We basically want to create that bridge between the two parts. And if we want to put it in the big perspective, we see that we can actually, by increasing user engagement, making it easier for people to contribute, we can coin an American phrase, making media relevant again. And old, yeah, he doesn't travel with that anymore, I guess. But it used to be an American phrase, right? By some guy in the White House. But guys, we have created Clipworks, and we are working with this in the media industry, and we believe that it can also provide value in the audience here for a broadcasting outside the regular news area. So how does this work? So the flow is that as a client, you're logging into the platform, you're creating the campaign, which is basically the instructions. And you push that out on your social media, in an email, in an audience, wherever you engage with your viewers or your people. And they can interact, upload the video. You can get in thousands of videos by sending out one link for people to interact with. And then all these videos are coming in, and you can start selecting, say, okay, I want to use this one, this is really good, this one is off topic, or, you know, whatever information you have, you can start screening the clips in our platform and use the best one. So this is just an example. You can customize this. You put in the headline, the context, and the upload button with instructions. This takes 10, 15 seconds to do that. Send that out with your own logo. Wait for people to interact. And on the other end, for the contributors, what they do, they don't have to download any app to participate. So this is why we're lowering the barrier for people to join the conversation and make their opinion heard, right, in a video. So you just simply go through the process, upload the video, voila, it's safely stored online for everyone to use. So we are basically a technology company providing the first step, and then we can integrate into whatever media asset management system you're dealing with. And I'm stepping into my partner's technical territory now, but we can do that, yeah. And enable the videos coming in to actually end up in your editing suite within a minute or two after being submitted. Even faster depending on the length. So, as I said, we're doing this with a background in journalism, in news, but we're also tapping into the corporate sector, and we are also tapping into the industry that you guys represent, the TV production side. We believe that we can actually add value by giving you a way to do like remote casting, giving you new opportunities of creating new TV formats and collecting reviews, putting them online either by sending out the link. It also comes with a QR code I'll show you at the end, so you can actually engage people by asking them to scan the QR code and upload the video. So there's tons of use cases here, and we are here to try to see, can we team up with people in Spain or in this area as well, who are willing to try a new way of working with your smartphone video content. We are increasing the user engagement. We're working with broadcasters in Germany, in Denmark, in Sweden, in Belgium, using it for the Euros in football, for instance. In the match against Denmark against Belgium, they asked the audience in Belgium, what do you think about beating Denmark in football? And they were happy. I almost turned off the account, but they were allowed to stay on after that even. I know you guys are thinking this is Denmark, everything in the Nordics is super expensive. But that's the price. We have a fixed price and we scale as you go. So this is unlimited videos, unlimited users. You can collect everything you want to do in our setup. And this is the team. I have a background in journalism. Our partner has spent, 25, 30 years working on the technical side of the media industry, delivering software, hardware, infrastructure for the TV production and film production industry. So here we go. You're allowed to take out your phone, scan the code, and join the conversation. And muchísimas gracias. ¿Vale? It's always really a dangerous thing to do, like live, or we're on camera and everything, but it should be fine. You know, it's always a...
I'm not going to post it anywhere. It's just for my personal record. Okay, dear jury, who wants to ask first the question? Anyway, please.
Asger, congrats. You really add value to the sector, so congrats. We have some questions more related to the business model. Can you explain a little bit about the business model? For example, how do you pay to the contributor? How do you pay? You talk about 3 lines of activities. Which is the most important? Which is the priority in the different lines? Thank you.
Sure, that's a good question. So I think for the business model, we have decided to have like a fixed price, 500 euros, and for that per month, and for that you get 500 video minutes storage. And most clients, it's not really an issue because they would transfer directly to their own storage. So on top of that, we also have, based on number of active campaigns. So this is one campaign, you can have 3 active, and then you can create all the ones you like, and then you put the other ones on hold once you don't need them anymore, so you don't have material coming into something that you did yesterday, right? So that's kind of the business model that we have been navigating and trying to find what would be the right solution for this, for the broadcasters. And for the areas, or for the markets, we're discussing what areas. So we are starting out now in broadcasting, which is where I come from, my partner comes from this area. But more importantly, our technology is a technology. That means you have to have an ability or a capacity to do some video editing. So we're not a video editing company. We don't do any editing because you have your preferred way of working, right? So this means we are delivering something that happens to be video, and whatever you want to do with it is your call. So the market for broadcast is mature because they have a setup, it's in their DNA to do video. And when we're talking to corporate companies, even big companies as well, they would often outsource the video production. So they see us as a video production company. So that's really great. We want to know what does our users, our employees, our colleagues, what do they say? But how do we get the videos out and working in the real world? They need to hook up with someone who knows video editing, either internally or they hire in a company. So that market is maturing, and there's an awareness that video is, that's happening. But they need to be able to process the video. So that's why we're kind of balancing these 2 areas, trying to figure out where could we have the strongest product market fit. Does that answer your question? Again.
I have a couple of technical questions. Actually, related to business model, again, if you are thinking to reward the content provider, who is going, the citizens that provide the video or whoever, and how you manage the EPR of this media that is provided by someone else, not you, it's not your video, it's from someone else. And also in terms of the server side, okay, the user experience is great, but in terms of server side, how you manage the video in the sense that it's a normal CMS, in the sense that I upload the video and it creates different resolutions, or you are using a sort of a packaging technology for making smaller and they're using later on, and etc., etc.
Thank you for these 2 questions. I think I'll do the first question, and then the other one is, I think you need to talk to my partner. He's on the technical side, so I can see him sweating down there, so I think that would be for him to answer. But basically, we deliver the video in the quality that it was recorded on the phone, so that would typically be full HD, so there's no compression. And for the other question about the rights, so when we're in the broadcasting industry, we are tapping into people who voluntarily want to give their opinion. So there's no money involved in that process. It's totally, I want to connect with this media, I like this TV station, I want to be heard. So that's on a voluntary basis. And when they're going through the systems and they upload the video, in order to be able to open the camera and record or select a file, they need to accept the terms. And these terms are decided by the broadcaster. So they have full rights, they own it. And whenever they're sending in, they say, okay, I agree that this is something that I did. And they can they have the full ownership of this. And they know that it's not published before they decide to publish it. So that's another thing. So we don't have any ownership in the content. Okay? You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have only 19 seconds left, so it was very good. Good timing. Thank you very much. Okay, and we go on with the next startup, OWO Entertainment. And what is it all about? I mean, maybe we miss some physical sensations sometimes when we're watching stuff. And I think it is time for more wearables in the audiovisual industry. And I'm not the only one to think so, because OWO is working on this, and they're going to tell you everything about it. Enjoy.
Egunon.
My name is Jose Fuertes. I'm the founder and CEO of OWO. What is our innovation here? We patented a haptic vest. What is our value proposal? We offer sensations, physical and real sensations. Our mission to transform your virtual world in a real world. All the cinema lovers, we always wanted to be part of the film, to be the leads, to be the protagonists. And after my long professional history, I want to present you something finally. In the industry of cinema, well, it exists for now more than 100 years. And since the first film was done, sound was added, color was added, special effects, 3D were added. But in fact, it's always for your sight, for your eyes, and for your ears. But the industry wants more innovation. The industry wants more immersion, more technology. We need to offer something different to users. For this purpose, we have vibrating chairs, multi-screens, VR, and immersive theaters. But what's the problem? The haptic technology. It's not well developed, because today everything that exists is based on vibrations, and you can only be offered one sensation, regardless of the place where it happens. What have we done in OWO? We broke the technology barrier, and we developed a haptic vest that allows you to feel more than 30 sensations. Rain, in San Sebastian, the wind, an embrace, a hug. We can reproduce the sensation and to feel it. What is OWO? It's a wireless system composed by a haptic vest and an application where the final user, the end user, has 100% control of his or her sensations and the intensity. It's compatible with all video-on-demand platforms, and it's ready. We are ready to sign partnerships with any of these platforms. This system is patented. The patent is in Europe, and we are waiting for the patent in the United States. We have a registered brand at what level? What is unique in our sensation technology? We have a sensation algorithm, we have a pulse train, and the possibility to change 9 different parameters in the wave. So we could represent any type of sensations. What would be the experience with this vest? You go to the cinema or you are at home. You choose a film, you select the character, and that's it. You feel the movie. How do we do it? We choose the film. We see what are the sensations that are most adequate at this moment. We generate the sensations track, and then we upload it into the application. 2/3 of the world population watches films at home, and they go to cinema theaters. What can we give to the industry? To all platforms, there's a new way of watching movies, documentaries or series. And for cinema theaters, there's a new way of immersion. We can do re-premiere films, and we can do new releases of old films so that the users can feel the film in a different way. And for spectators, for people, well, and for actors, they can be rehearsing the takes and the different actions. Our business model, it's a platform where you can buy the library composed of many, many films. When it's less than 400 euros when you buy the vest, and the library is free. And then people, when they are premium, they can create their own tracks and share it. So users will be content generators in turn. So this company, we have several awards in Test Horizon in Europe. We've won many prizes, and we're now in conversations with Sony Entertainment in Los Angeles, with Microsoft, and with Facebook. And we are also in discussions with Kinepolis, and I'm happy to be here and to talk with HBO and Netflix. This is the third company that was created from scratch. The first was Medical Countless, Wines Pro, a simulation for fitness, and it's been sold in 35 countries. Today, 19 people are working here. The same technical team which is working to develop this technology is now working full-time in OWO Entertainment. We manufacture the vest, the device, the tracks. We do the whole manufacturing. We don't depend on third parties. Thank you very much. That's in Basque.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
On stage, they are accelerating, you know. They still have a little bit of time. Okay. Bueno, las preguntas del...
So the jury's questions now.
Simultan translation. So questions for Feel the Movie, so to speak, with OWO Entertainment.
José, enhorabuena. Muy disruptivo.
Very disruptive innovation. Congratulations. Two questions. You have a business activity for video games and another line for the cinema industry, and then there is a financing round. In fact, I have two questions. The technology is directed to the industry of cinema, and my second question, what about the funding round? What are you doing for video games, and when will you tackle the cinema sector? Here you can see the jacket. It's quite light, it's flexible, and you can customize it. We're now doing the very serious funding round. We have several investors. We spent hundreds of thousands of euros. We will have a first party, and the pandemic has stopped any test and no traveling. But we continued to work, and the product is almost finished. Investors don't need that we go to the market yet, and we do this in the United States. We signed a partnership with Closer Investment, and we will raise millions of euros from now to the end of the year. We are now in discussions to sign a first-party agreement and to start the marketing part. With Microsoft, we were meeting with Microsoft, with 3 executives of Microsoft online in order to explain this. And then we have other pivots, cinema industry that we want to validate. And of course, it's much more complicated because you're on the cloud. And if you are in Singapore, it's more difficult to receive real-time sensations in your jacket. But we depend on video game developers. We work with many video game producers, and they're going to adapt it. But on the cinema, we generate our own tracks, and the users can generate their own tracks. We do it ourselves. We want the producers to introduce the tracks directly in the film so that people can feel it. This technology has a good thing. It is applicable in all sectors. In a smart city, you can communicate directly with a blind person strolling in the city. If you have a Wi-Fi, you can give the information. If you can play with friends, you're wearing the jacket, you go to the cinema and you put it under your jacket, and you can interact. Exactly the same for music. You can make a track, well, the author makes a track, and then you can play it, and you can give sensations through the music and through the vest. It's validated for video games. We have more than 20 adapted video games, and we will continue. But when we were invited to be part of the festival as cinema lovers, we could not stop from entering this beautiful world, and it was a dream to us to be the protagonists and the lead part of a film. Congratulations, very interesting project. I suppose Well, maybe I imagine that it's possible for my little daughter with the supervision of an adult. It's possible for children to use the vest. Is it designed for children? These are milliseconds electric pulses. No secondary effects. It's a continuous current, but it's a communication sport. I was talking with an investor the other day. He said that his son was autistic, and he could establish a communication with this boy. What is the sensation? And maybe the boy will learn from that. There's a validated study in Stanford. You can learn a communication system through the sensations in your body. For a person with a deaf person, while walking in the city, there are sounds that can be felt. For instance, if there's a motorbike going by, the person will feel the sensation with a vest, and then maybe you can't hear it, but you can see it and feel it. Yes, it's good for accessibility. Yes, it's for adults for the moment, but it's a product that under supervision of an adult, you can use it with children. You can apply logic and you will receive feedback. For B2B learning processes, you can learn, you receive information, and we discovered that, and we all know that you feel it in your body, and that's real, and that becomes real. If you see it, it's okay. If you hear it, it's better, but if you feel it really, your virtual world becomes real.
The timing is like 1-0, and that's it. Lo siento mucho.
I'm really sorry. Well, you can test it and then ask questions. It's good that I understand a little Spanish. I can't really speak it, but I understand what you said.
Thank you very much. I also had a question, but I'm not going to take my privilege of being on stage to ask that question. I will ask you later on. So we're going to go on with the next startup with Panoramic Plates. Interesting names. And it is Daniel Gonzalez Hinojosa and Carolina Vita who are in the team. And Carolina is going to present us something which is really very valid for producers of fictions. I think they have modified an electrical vehicle, and Carolina, tell us more about it. Thank you very much. I don't count the time yet. It's good. You go on stage and then.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay. Bueno, buenos días. Muchas gracias por recibir.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing us to be here. It's such an honor sharing the stage with those very impressive projects. Panoramic Plates is a startup made up by two post-production studios, No Studios and two post-productions. And Panoramic Plates will be the first service to be used panoramic plates on the road in the country. And we thought of this idea because every time we had to integrate a road plate into a shot recorded with a green screen, we found the same old problems. Normally, the low resolution of the material, also the paralleling problems, blind spots, rolling shutter, and the vibration on the road of the vehicle. So that's when we thought, what is the best way to film a panoramic plate? What can we do to better film and better edit? And this is how we came up with this electric vehicle that we called El Pajarito, the little bird. We've included our own rig that we designed ourselves, recording with 6 different angles with wide-angle lenses, avoiding as much as possible the car bodywork. It also includes a mechanical damper so that vibrations on the road won't be a problem. And both the cameras and the optics are calibrated for panoramic views. All of that through the post-production templates that we have designed ourselves too. So these plates can be used both in traditional post-production and also with virtual post-production by using LED screens where we would be projecting the backgrounds and the reflections on the car bodywork. You can imagine how much time that saves on post-production work. I would also like to tell you that for post-production, we're using different types of software that were originally designed for VR, like Mystic VR. We're the first ones to be using them for fiction, and we are getting a lot of attention for that. Another forte has to do with customer care, because we have with us 2 post-production studios. We can have our supervisors providing technical support, and this is why things don't go wrong, hardly ever. Our plates are one of the largest in the market, 13K, and we actually started shooting in 2020 like this, and we've been part of some 15 projects, Money Heist, El Buen Patrón, that is being released in the current film festival in Sunsebrian, well, many other projects. We know that we are on the right road. We know that virtual production is here to stay, and it's our future. Sorry, I can't seem to get this to work. Never mind. We are currently developing, well, thinking of 2022, the first vehicle that will be a 4-wheel drive. That's why we are working on new tools so that we can scan the ground as we record. And we're also thinking about scalability of the project. For instance, blockchain managing the first library for panoramic plates in Spain. We are being validated by the main producers in Spain, and right now we are working towards our first round of financing. We want to invoice some, for our turnover to be some 800,000 in the first year. Thank you so much.
Enhorabuena. Muy interesante para la postproducción.
Congratulations. This sounds so interesting for post-production. You are very right. We were wondering if there will be a library, but you've said that it will exist, because I understand that you've been working with different materials for every project so far. And then we were also wondering, thinking about your clients, how much would this cost? I mean, it will vary from one project to another, obviously. Well, there is a basic part of our costs for shooting, and that's so much per day. And then over and above that, it totally depends on how much material they need to be post-produced. Might be 20 seconds or 20 minutes. I can tell you that it's 5,500 euros for using this vehicle with the 3 people that are required for everything to work right per day. And then we have 12 euros per second for the stitching, we call it, of materials. And that's totally depends on how long the material is that they need done. And the idea of having a library makes all the sense because our partners are two post-production studios. Then we want to be able to use in the future everything that we are creating for every project. For the first round, for financing, that's what we want to raise. Those are the funds we want to raise so that we can have our library up and running, so that we can have a better vehicle with all the specs. I've loved your presentation, and I have a question. Are you familiar with Nokia Ozo? It's a project that was launched a few years ago with a VR camera, super powerful, and I think the cost was like 60,000 euros. The project died because they said the VR market was not ready yet for this type of technology. It was not mature enough. And I have two questions in this sense, because you were telling us that there's only one company that does something similar in Spain, but not as well as you are doing. Why is it that you are better than they are? And what is the difference between your technology and the technology, for instance, Nokia is using? Is the performance better, or maybe it's got to do with the final resolution? Now, about technical questions, I'd rather if our developer, Daniel, can answer those questions. I would feel I would be more comfortable with that. But I can just start by telling you that we know quite a lot about our competitors. But we think we are very different because we are post-production people, and our developments are designed from that angle. Other companies think of, oh, this has got to be the biggest ever. We don't. We just think what will be useful in our industry, which is what we know. That's what I can tell you. But now, for the technical side, I guess you mean you're asking about how automatic our stitching is. Well, we want to offer as many specs as possible for digital effects. So we're not focusing on automation for stitching. We use, for instance, Mystica QR to generate our templates. And then what we do is calibrate the rig as well as possible so the stitch can be almost immediate. Our final product now has a maximum resolution of 14K because our rig has been designed to be used with cinema cameras. We're now working with Panasonic 1H that allows for logarithmic 14K that works great also for LED screens. But you know how cinema cameras need to be well stabilized because they're far heavier. If that changed, we could go up to 20 to 22K panoramic plates with much higher quality. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we don't have all the time in the world to answer all those wonderful questions.
We are moving to the next, and I can't believe it is the last one already. It's much too fast. The way to the future is too fast. So this time, last but not least, the future is female. We have Sarah Ascona and Diana Franganillo on this one. And Sarah is going to present and imagine an app that contains and coordinates all the reports of all the departments of film shoots. I want to know about that app.
Hola, egunon.
Hello. First of all, thank you to the festival for their invitation and the opportunity to know these 4 other projects Very exciting indeed. I'm Sara Azcona. I'm CEO and founder of Recorder. It's an application that digitalizes the script processing system. But I'd like to explain about the information that it collects so that you see the vision and objectives of Recorder. The script does the continuity of films. It's about threads or decoration and the lighting, saying the lines to the actors. He have the eyes of the editor, and they have notes from the directors, from the Department of Sound and Camera, and it's the mole for production, because this person deals with the timetable, the stops, the shots, number of shots, time for lunch and dinners, and then sending 4 to 5 different reports to the various shooting departments. Until now, they've always used an analogic and manual way of working. They used an Excel sheet, they used a chronometer and a photo camera. And at the end, they photocopied these reports to send it to the various shooting departments, or they have to transcribe it and digitalize it. And they used a lot of time and a lot of paper. Recorder is just centralizing all these manual tools in a centralized digital report processing system with a button increasing productivity, efficiency, avoiding errors, making safe copies. And it would be impossible to do it in an analogical way, with voice notes, with video, and other types of reports. What are the advantages of Recorder? This app, if we compare with our competitors, this is a program that is very similar to other software from script processing systems in the world. It's very similar to the analogic way of working. This entry barrier disappears because it's quite similar to what they do manually. So we customized the workflow. We can use the American systems and the European and the Asian systems. We are now downloading this app in all parts of the world. This year we have a mobile app. I don't know if you have an advertising editor member. There's no script there. Sometimes you have just a sheet of paper with 3 numbers, and that's all. And with Recorder, you can get into the world of advertising. So production assistants and camera assistants will use this mobile app, and then they can export reports that are really professional reports for the editors. It's an easy and user-friendly application. And we want to penetrate the cinema schools so that they can start digitalizing reports with Recorder. This is Recorder today. What is our vision for the future? What are our goals? The audiovisual paradigm has changed in the last few years. In the last years, you could make a film with every 2 to 3 to 4 years with different production companies. Now we have new players, the distributors. In the past, now they've become content generators, HBO, Disney, Netflix, Amazon, etc. And they do a continuous production. So it seems incredible that we have methodologies and work modes for pre-production, for post-production, but nothing for shooting. So Recorder wants to be there to generate this new methodology, this work model through big data by generating reports that can improve productivity and improve the costs of all productions. And at the same time, to avoid post-production errors. In this way, we want to implement a multi-platform, multi-channel platform that can detect unconformities and errors with various technologies, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Then all the devices are interconnected, and in such a way we can detect errors in real time when they're happening. You don't need to wait until post-production because the sound assistant is not there, the camera assistant is not there, and a plate hasn't been recorded. So in order to avoid these post-production problems, we can use recorder because it could be very costly to do that in post-production. Use cases. We've been present in Endgame, Black Panther, the last by Marvel, Altman, and the Avengers, Spanish productions, Musarañas, Pasaje de Vida, and other international productions and European productions. We've been there, and we have been funded for 2 years by the Ministry of Culture. We were finalists in the Impact Accelerator European Union, finalists in Mujer Empresa, and also we've been receiving awards in Spain.
Bueno, tenía 15 segundos.
Okay, you have 15 seconds left. Thank you very much. Microphone, please.
Hola. Sí.
Thank you. Very interesting indeed. In your pitching, and I understood what is your script application. It's a multi-departmental application. All the shooting departments would be interconnected during the production and the shooting. And our questions. What is the phase now? You are now developing connectivity between devices, cameras, during the shooting. We would like to know what is the current situation. What are you developing in Recorder? We are doing the functional analysis, requirement analysis. We try to talk with various companies, with Sony and others, in order to adapt the technology and to develop the communications protocol. That's what we're doing now. So this is the differential part of your app. Is there something that is really different? Our competitors are just in America with the American methodology. There's no methodology here. We are pioneers because there are no competitors just for in the script world. And they have iOS, we are doing Android, and they are doing just for the American system. And one of our advantages is that it can be customized and used in many other systems. So, are you thinking about EPR for content? How are you managing EPR for content? Because this is not a monolithic application. We'll have a server end, and then we'll have a user end part in your app. What do you think? Are you going to protect content in a private cloud? How would you do that? The app is downloaded by each user, and we have safe copies that can be done. And we are now assessing the development of a SaaS technology to share information, but this is not our sector yet. We're not developing that at the moment. So it's a department synchronization methodology. Yes, it's in situ and in real time during the shooting to avoid unconformities, because the camera and sound departments send almost the same information to post-production, but in different reports. Each device generates different reports, and we need to synchronize in situ, in real time, in order to avoid errors and to see unconformities. That's the platform. No, it's not the server part. Yes. It's the report that's been produced by the device. The application is in your tablet or in your mobile phone that is being used during the shooting. It was designed in such a way because sometimes during shootings you don't have Wi-Fi. There's no connectivity. You spoke about this synchronization between departments, and I wanted to know how this information that were produced in real time in situ in the locations could be moved to other departments. Yes, unconformities during the shooting are detected with recorder, and then when this is sent to the various participants, all the information is collected into the same report. Thank you.
Whoa, muchas gracias. We still had 1 minute left for questions, but okay, well, this is fine. So much in time, this is wonderful. Actually, we're perfectly in time, a couple of minutes early, actually. So, but this was a great trip, I would say, through the innovation. We had different perspectives in different fields of work in the audiovisual production process. Seeing new technologies, I find it always super exciting. And it is, of course, even more exciting when we have a competition. So you are making up your mind because at 1:45, the winner of this competition is going to be announced here in San Sebastian and obviously also online. So stay with us. Around 1:45, as said, we will have the award ceremony. But stay with us still, because at 12:30, we're going to have this wonderful roundtable into the future of cinema, also with virtual production. We will have 3 fantastic guests. It will be Bernat Aragones, the editor and VFX supervisor of Antaneia Films. We'll have Pedro Fernandez, the CEO of WeLab. And we'll have Pepe Perez, the innovation head of the MediaPro Group. And first of all, there will be also a presentation to explain what is exactly virtual production. It's very interesting to see this nearly physically speaking on the screen. At any case, it will be a presentation by Alia. And we will, or I will guide the conversation, and I'm very honored and I have the pleasure to guide you through this conversation. I chose the path to first dig into the tech and clear last questions. Check where our experts are at, what they're working on, what is changing for them now. We will inquire into the promise of, I think it is mine. We are going into the promise. It's to time myself. Well, we were a little bit early. I'm staying on stage to finish and give you what we're going to go to. So third, we're going to inquire into the promise of virtual production. Then we will explore the way to get there and conclude that probably the way to virtual production is simply to make it production, because it will be production of the future. So I invite you to this conversation a little bit later on in this panel discussion. I hope you will be all there. And see you in a sec. For now, we have a break until 12:30. See you then. Thank you very much. Jose, sorry to interrupt you. Can we have 2 bottles of waters more for our guests, please? That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. And this is my tech check also. Thank you very much. And thanks to the tech team over there, right? So the rules are when we speak, we can take the mask off. When we do not speak, we put the mask on again. I'm gonna keep my mask off because I will be in conversation with you all the time, and it is just too complicated. I have my notes and I have the things, and but I hope it's okay for you. And we are. Is it? How do you?
Microphone check, microphone check. 3, perfecto, gracias.
Hola, hello, and welcome back to the Zinemaldia here. It's all about technology, or technology. I try not to be too mixed up into the language. Welcome back here at the Tabacalera, where we have our wonderful technology sessions at the Sunsebrian Film Festival. I'm AC Coppens. I'm the founder of the Catalyst, an agency based in Berlin at the crossing of innovation between tech and creative content. And this is why I've been invited to guide this discussion with you all today. So what is it all about? Virtual production, a journey to the future of cinema. I would add maybe cinema production and distribution and probably beyond. Because the changes which have been provoked by the pandemics actually have had an enormous impact on the film and the entertainment industry. We all know that. Because suddenly there was an enormous demand to stream more, to consume more content. So this had to be produced. Second, there was the health regulations coming up and border closures. How do you do with production? And third, how do you deal with the quality of the project with such constraint? And this is why there was a spectacular acceleration in remote and virtual production tools, but also processes coming up, which were actually expected to come into life more into like 4-5 years, and this is an acceleration, a fast forward to the future. So this is why the ALIA, the Audiovisual Industry Alliances, is actually organizing this roundtable here at Zinemaldia and Technology, the Sunsebrian Festival benchmark space for technology and audiovisual innovation 4 professionals of the audiovisual industries, obviously, who will discuss with me later on what is going to happen actually in the very next future and beyond. But first of all, let's get all set on the same level. Because, I mean, who knows everything about virtual production here? Raise your arm. Everything about virtual production? Anyone? Good. Because otherwise we wouldn't need the introduction. So I'm very glad to have here with me on stage Ruben Garcia. He is a member of the technical solution team at the ALIA, so he will tell you everything to get all set on this basis, and then everybody can follow the discussion which will follow. So enjoy the presentation. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. Hola a todos.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ruben Plaza Garcia. I work for the Technical Solutions in Disguise. And first of all, I'd like to thank Roberto, Carmen, for this fantastic opportunity in San Sebastian. For all those who do not know Disguise, we are a company. We've been working for 20 years now for big shows, TLD, Rosetas, business shows. We worked with LEDs, and this allowed us to learn and to develop solutions for virtual production and LSR solutions. But before entering into this topic, I'd like to explain what virtual production is. You've seen it in Mandalorian and other films, in magazines, blogs, conversations. People speak about virtual production, and I would like to define what is virtual production. It's a combination of different techniques and workflows in order to generate content and films in 2D and 3D. In this presentation, we're going to focus on all the visual effects that are captured with cameras during the shooting. Here we have several techniques of virtual production. The green screen, the mock-up, motion capture, previewing tools of different sets, technical pre-production. Then we have augmented reality and virtual reality. A clear example of using virtual reality in a cinema set is the last film by Disney, Jon Favreau, The Lion King. And he always tries to bring new technology to his shootings. In this film, he had goggles, and the VCX created a 3D universe. It was like a painting, and he designed his own scenes. I'm going to put the camera here with this type of shot, and I want the actors, in this case animals, have to be here. Then I have news, I have the mountains, the sky, the sun, and once I designed my scene, well, the guy spoke with the technical people, and then there was a rendering of the whole set. Then there was post-production, and with different chronological clips, they created the film. Another tool, a Mr. Network. It's a combination of both. And the last is extended reality. What is that? You take a real set, and thanks to these new technologies, we can go towards the infinite. It will become a 360 in many cases. Let's see some examples of this green screen technology. This is a typical set, a room with flat homogeneous lighting, and everything is green. And this is normally the result after applying this green screen. You see the actress, you have green dots on the skin, green reflections, and everything is. Then it's very slow and very expensive to arrange it in post-production. So we have constraints. The lighting is not real. We have no reflections. We have no shades. And if we work with reflective surfaces, with a car from the factory, special ski goggles, the actors cannot wear any type of clothes in red or green tones or in blue tones. And another problem is, well, just imagine that you invite a sports person, an artist, coming to your set. Or maybe you invite CEO, because you are shooting an advertisement for a company. They're not used to be in a green set and a green screen. They don't like it. They're not comfortable. They don't know how to interact because I don't know what's happening around me. I cannot interact because everything is green around me. I can't see anything, and that might be a problem. And last but not least, you need to arrange that and redevelop it in post-production. It's slow and very expensive. Maybe you work with Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and they have delivery times that are very, very short. Then here we have the LD set with a big screen. It's curved screen and a ceiling. The car has reflections. We have lighting. And all the creative, the team is involved in the whole process because they see what is happening. Not only that, if we need to make changes in the set, you can do it. You don't need to wait for the post-production. You can arrange it. I can adjust colorimetry. I can change the content perspective. This content was recorded in 360. As a software, well, without software, you can change perspective, the viewpoint, the size, but not only that. The director, the photography director, it has a preview on his camera. Oh, this is too red. This is too green, or too much reflection. I need something else. Then you can adjust it in real time on set. So I explained these advantages, but I'd like to underline two advantages. We have the feedback that we receive from the actors. When you put them into this kind of set, well, they all say, we are comfortable, we feel at ease, because they see what is happening around in the set. They can react, and then they can interact with what is happening. So the result is a much better acting on their part. Secondly, post-production processes are more agile and efficient. So if you work with companies like Netflix, HBO, Amazon, etc., this helps you to comply the delivery dates. Let's see a video. The picture. This is Nissan's ad in Los Angeles. And all the shots that you see, I don't remember the name of the actress, Captain Marvel's. And everything that's recorded in the car is done in the set, and everything was shot in one day. It could take you 2 to 3 days with the other techniques. It would be very costly. And then you need to take into account what are the external agents that are out of your control. You cannot control time. What happens if tomorrow there's not the same light because it's cloudy, it's rainy? When you work in a set, you have full control on all production elements, and you can I have to repeat this shot 40 times, and there's a loop, and I can do it 40 times in a row. And here, a making of with no audio. You see the cameraman is seeing what's happening. He can move the camera and do this kind of effect when the car is moving. It's real time. The director is seeing how this is going to be shot. And with our software, we can change the content, and you change the viewpoint. And then you choose your viewpoint so that the optic illusion is created with the camera. Another effect that we can obtain when we work with LED screens in combination with graphic engines is to create a parallax. What is a parallax? Parallax is a result of combining a real camera with a tracking system, and then you synchronize it with a virtual camera that is in a 3D world, and then you display a content in the LED screen that is real-time generated from the point of view of that camera. Here, you see the reference monitor. In this reference screen, you see the final result. And when you see many photos, many pictures of this type of virtual productions, you will see two elements. The frustum, the camera frustum is the LED that you can see. The cameraman sees that. You have a 4K image with high quality and photorealistic content. If you don't have the auto frustum, you would have the LED in black with no reflections. So you need to render the out of frustum. It's not the same viewpoint of this camera. Sometimes you can say, okay, I want greener colors, or I want more sky. I can take another virtual camera and put it in another area with the lighting that I select and that I present to the rest of the LED screen. Here you will see a short video. This is the Parallax. Here, short takes with the Parallax, and then you see Parallax in action. You see that the frame is moving, and the background is doing the lighting, the reflections, and it's of lower quality. Another thing that changes when we work with lighting and with LED screens. I come from lighting, and I just love this. We need to take into account that the traditional lighting standards, key, full and contra, are changing. When you work with LED screen, is that if you're going to put traditional elements, you're going to do that in order to underline and to give more volume to the light and more coherence to the scene. We also advise people to work with LED products supporting DMX, for example. Why? Because I can take the same video that I displayed in the LED screen, and I can also display it in the lighting equipment. So colors are more similar, and then my lighting result, my outcome is very homogeneous in the whole scene. And another relevant element, you have to avoid having light spots directly on the LED screen. And thirdly, you need synchrony. And you're lighting something on your set, and then you have to synchronize it with what appears on the screen.
A la madre de todo el cordero, color, ¿ok? Muy importante, cuando hacemos este tipo de workflows, todo el hardware tiene que soportar ASIS. ¿Por qué? Porque con ASIS podemos pasar contenido que está en un hardware de capturación a un dispositivo de reproducción o de visualización sin tener una aberración en colores. ¿Okay? Tenemos dos elementos en este tipo de workflows, el IDT y el ODT. El IDT es el Input de Device Transform, ¿okay? Y el ODT es el Output Device Transform. Os explico. Por ejemplo, trabajáis con un media server, en este caso como el nuestro, le podéis decir, mira, este contenido que hemos hecho 360 o no 360, un contenido que he hecho un play de 8K, por ejemplo, lo hemos grabado con esta cámara y con este log. Pues a lo mejor si habéis trabajado con ARRI, pues un C-Log, un S-Log de Sony, un Rec-Log de Red, ¿ok? Y luego, ¿en qué tipo de pantalla? Que aquí está el ODT. ¿Dónde voy a reproducir ese contenido? ¿Dónde se va a ver ese contenido? ¿Ok? Normalmente las pantallas de LED están calibradas en Rec 709 o Rec 2020. ¿Ok? ¿Qué nos permite eso? Que la forma que el director de fotografía ha captado.
The way the director of photography has captured those images will be exactly the same as what you get on the output. So our company, Disguise, this is what we do. We offer a platform that allows to combine all those different technologies. You have the LED with the color workflows and the color calibration. We are also in charge of the management of the data from green tracking, and that's synchronized with graphic engines, whether it's Unity, whatever. Then you can also have a layer for augmented reality on top of that. And all of that is previewed and synchronized and managed from our platform. That means you don't need to work with different devices at the same time. One single platform synchronizes all those elements. Here we can see a simple piece of infographics for you to understand what the virtual production set is, we have the LED processors with a LED stage, the cameras, and our server make sure that all of that is synchronized and working correctly. If one day you want to do parallax or real time, we have render modes that connects to VX and communicate on video over IP, which is goes two ways that we've developed ourselves, and a 25G network, so that you can work with compressed workflows. And because I'm short of time, I'm going to skip the videos that I had prepared. I'll just show you a few pictures for you to get an idea of what we've been doing. This is Han Solo, and this was like the embryo of what has come later. Here, our colleagues had put some triggers on the vehicle. When it goes into hyperspace, then the lever is activated and the screen goes on. Can you imagine what that actor experiences with all those LED lights and reflections? Then another example here in Spain is the team from Orca, and my favorite, the Joker. I love this both in comic books and on film. There was a scene with a fight in the underground in New York, and the carriage was done in a replica, and it was surrounded with LED, with LED, and it looks like the train is moving in the New York underground. And you will soon be watching this on Apple TV. It's Foundation, where spacecraft is shown with massive screens, with faraway planets being seen, all of that done in LED. That will be released, I think, in November. So if you want more details, my colleague, Ezequiel, and myself, just get in touch with us and we will fill you in. We've got plenty of material to show you.
Ruben, sorry that, no, I think you have to give this to the audio director here. Thank you very much, and for this wonderful presentation, so that we can all have a clear understanding of what's happening in virtual production. So I'm going now to introduce to you the three experts who are joining me for this virtual production exploration, and I call on stage first Bernat Aragonés. He is the founder, editor, and VFX supervisor on Antaviana Films, one of the leading and most dynamic post-production studios in Spain. Bernat, it's great. Bernat has a very long career as an editor and a VFX supervisor. His work includes great references, films, TV series, like from Isabel Cochet, Agustí Villarronga, Mario Barroso, Beles Funes, Judith Colell is known for his work on The Thief's Daughters, but also Elisa and Marcella, which was on Netflix, a bookshop. So, I mean, this is solid references that you have here. And what I find really interesting, but you also do documentaries, giant screen project, stereoscopic features, virtual reality project. So you have a very good sense of bridging storytelling, creativity, and VFX technology. And that's why you're here on stage with us today, because the skills, and this will be your perspective also on this panel, your skills with art, design, and narrative in feature film with complex workflows will be very interesting for us on this stage. Thank you, Bernat. Then we will have Pere Perez Nino. Thank you, Pere, to have jumped into this conversation. He is head of innovation of the Media Pro Group in Spain. And Pere is really somebody who is totally passionate and in innovative technology. This is why it's so interesting here. He has spent 10 years in London. He has been working in various digital agencies and technology companies. He has been leading the European expansion of Tango Zebras in preparation for the sale to Google. And most importantly, I find that in 2012, he has been finding Vision, an innovation service company focusing on creative solutions through immersive experiences and emerging technologies, of course, which led to award-winning projects, right? So Vision has become part of the MediaPro Group in April 2019, and you have been promoted in a more transversal role as head of innovation there. So basically, Pere is working with global partners on driving innovative solutions on virtual production, AI, blockchain, extended reality, and emerging technology. So I think we have the guy for that part here. Thank you very much to have joined us. And then last but certainly not least, we have Pedro Fernandez, the CEO of WeLab in Spain. Pedro, great to have you next to me by my side. I think it's great because WeLab is a key supplier of cinematographic and audiovisual equipment, and they specialize in digital cinema cameras, but also lenses of all kinds for feature film, commercials, music videos, TV series, etc., etc. But they don't only supply cameras, equipment, and etc., but they do also consulting and training, and they also do post-production, right? So this is great that you're there. You have a degree in photography direction. I think it's really great because you have also a long experience in filming, so that is only the techie there, so that's great. Because you know how to improve all the processes related to the capture and the treatment of the images. And this is why you want to also offer creative options, right, to cinematographers and directors. So I think it is great. So you see we have a great mix here on stage today. And maybe I want to dig directly into the first part, as we were just having something about the technology. So what I would love to know is to slightly deepen a little bit more the understanding of technology there. And maybe I will start with you, Pere, because you have also this role here. When we have a look at these 4 fields of virtual production, which I can identify, like visualization, motion capture, hybrid camera, and I include simulcam, green screen hybrids, and etc., LED screen, sorry. Which of these fields do you see with the most interesting potential for innovation right now?
Right. Thank you for inviting me and the kind introduction. Well, maybe MediaPro, we are quite in a unique position within this space because we cover the entire spectrum of virtual production. So we need to innovate pretty much in every single area. As you mentioned, Vision, which is more at the leading edge in terms of how do we take XR and immersive narrative through, avatarization, through immersive content, and trying to create more interactivity into what is the cinematic storytelling. But at the other side of the spectrum, we have all the TV broadcasting and how we innovate there. And there we specialize on a lot of live production for sports, for entertainment, and trying to bring virtual production elements and AR graphics into real-time broadcast that can really scale. That is another area where we are really putting a lot of effort in the innovation field. So I think we're still in the very early stages of what virtual production can bring into the overall content creation sector, beyond like cinema and beyond. So we will see innovation or technology breakthroughs coming pretty much at in every aspect that our colleague was mentioning before. On the mock-up area, AI is going to be helping a lot into taking it to the next level, but also as the hardware gets better, camera tracking and so on. So I think we will see innovation coming across all aspects.
Pedro, how is it? We know that at the core of virtual production, we have these video game engines, which are relating, of course, to the film. Has the usage of such technologies been somehow difficult also for VFX professionals, or was the adaptation easier than anticipated? How did you watch this from your perspective?
Bueno, muchas gracias por invitarme.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to be here to learn some more about video game engines. The way we use them for cameras and lenses, it's more of a the way we understand it is more from a technical point of view as a container, a box where we can put into it the camera tracking, the tracking of the lenses, so that we can then combine the virtual world and the real world on the same set. You've used the word combination. It's like a confluence. That was precisely the next question that I had prepared. Bernat, for you.
Formats and technology at this confluence here, right? So what do you see from your perspective, from your experience? Which technical strengths do you see, but which technical limitation do you see for now? And how did you use this to your advantage?
Thank you for inviting me to this session. I think this is a really exciting moment because there is this evolution of technology, especially regarding the rendering in real time, the real-time rendering technologies related to game engines. This interaction of these technologies with filmmaking, this is creating a new space, and this is opening new possibilities in all aspects, in creativity, and also like new, opens new ways to produce. I think now we are at the stone age of these technologies. These are going to evolve a lot more. Nowadays, it's very difficult to shoot in real time. There is a lot of technicalities that you need to take into account. Nevertheless, as time goes on, interoperability, standardization will come across, and this will become mainstream, so that virtual production is called just plain production, as digital cinematography is cinematography nowadays, or digital effects are visual effects. So it will become incorporated to the creation process.
You are spoiling the end. That's the last part of the panel.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's totally good. No, but this is very interesting. I think that let me make just a little break here in the explanation, because of course virtual production is not exactly new. As you say, now it's getting there, really exciting. But we have a combination of industry, tech, and developments which have been accelerating, as I was saying at the beginning. But we have to have a look at the market also. The popularity of VFX genre is, of course, increasing, and we have recent virtual production breakthrough. But the genre as such is really like people want to see that. They love it, and they are getting used to it, by the way. Second, we have the accessibility to the games engine. We were discussing this a second ago. But there is also a competition, I would say, also, and I'm sure you see this, Pere, between streaming platforms and also film studios, who are competing not only for customers, but also for content and media production facilities. And you have to accelerate it because the content and demand is there. We want more. Right? We are not lost in content overdose yet, right? So, and of course, on top there was COVID, right? So I would like to go now a little bit more into your own experience, what's happening in the moment for each of you with what's happening now at this crossing of technology, market, business opportunities. And maybe come back to you first, Bernat. I'm still there with you. What are you working on at the moment, and how is virtual production involved, very concretely, so that everybody can see like what's happening right now for you in your position?
Exactly. So as we said before, virtual production, or the elements that constitute virtual production have been there for a long time, and in Antaviana we have been incorporating them in our pipeline. Especially we are focused now in what we call like pre-production, pre-visualization services, and because that allows us to integrate the real-time technology for the previsualization of VFX, which is what we do. And that has allowed us to improve and be extremely more efficient. For example, there's one case, one film that we did in 2019. It was the typical case where it's such a interesting story, project you want to make, but there was a very limited resources for the allowance for the VFX. No? And using real-time technology, we were able to optimize a lot with the previs, the amount of plates and the workflow for the VFX. We built some models with paper model, yeah, because we are very much a technological company, but we love analog world. So we ended up building like huge paper representations of Barcelona squares, of La Rambla, of the Liceu, all in paper. We scanned them, and then in the virtual environment, we were able to design all the shots with a lot of precision, just to be able to shoot like the dozens of plates that were required to fill each window, balcony, interior of the bar, people walking. All of those we were able to pinpoint with extreme precision what was needed, how to shoot in a very low budget production. So it was a case of use of virtual production for pre-visualization, which I think is very interesting, for that you don't need to have an extremely great budget to take advantage of this technology. And we got the Gaudi Award for VFX for that year.
We will go back to this on like, who is it for? Is it only for the big studios a little bit later on? But that's great. And I like the fact that you're actually working in hybrid mode, right, basically. And we were seeing, I think, Ruben, in your presentation, there were some people like pushing the car to themselves, not only the machines, right? So, I mean, we are still a little bit hybrid. I think it's good that we're still human, right? But anyway, so that's good. By the way, a secondary question on that one. If we do so much in pre-prod, in pre-visualization, etc., will we need VFX still?
Well, what happens is a shift of the VFX work that shifts to a pre-production phase. Yeah, that's what we did. We scanned the models and we worked on the models. So that was a traditional post-production work, what was happening in prep.
Okay, so there is an unweighting of the workload in a pre-phase, which is probably very good because it's not last minute everything. Okay, very good. Thank you, Bernard. So, and you, Pere, where are you working? What is your lookout for? Anything special at the moment? What kind of content do you focus on right now? And what's happening for you right now?
Right. Just to stay within the concept of confluence, one of the unique things that we are working on is on bridging the gap between traditional broadcasting techniques and the digital and virtual worlds. So to come up with new content formats that are live, interactive entertainment. So what we were able to produce for brands, and we have worked with automotive brands in the past year, where you create like a TV show in virtual production with LED screens as well as XR elements. But it's not just to be broadcasted as a passive feed, but it's a live interactive show where about 1,000 people from that brand were connecting from all over the world into an immersive platform, creating their own avatars and participating in a live challenge, from the studio. So we had the presenter there at the stage, and then we had 1,000 people from all over the world, all having this live challenge until we had one winner, which then was connected and so on. So it's bringing that interactive content elements into social spaces, and this is where one of the things that virtual production allow us. It's not just to create like new cinematics or to reduce the workflow times for creating part of the takes on cinema, but also to come up with new content formats.
Absolutely, this is great. We can see the completion between the two of you first. And now back to Pedro. I mean, you have quite an experience at the core of equipment, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how the industry has changed since you started, actually, and how have you adapted to the growing demands of virtual production? What did you observe and how did you react for this?
Bueno, nosotros...
Well, we're a very young company. We've only been working for 13 years. That's not a long time. We have been part of that confluence that we've been mentioning, and we've suffered it sometimes, for instance, with equipment, HD, Full HD, Super 35. That was the past. And now we have full frame, both for cameras and lenses, 6 or 8K. And the confluence here is for everything to be piped into one single production line. When we first started, there were two types of human and technical teams. One type with high-level production that made films, that looked down on the people who worked with broadcasting and video material. Well, those two worlds have come together. That's the confluence. But we're still very much immature. A lot of people don't know enough about this world. That's what we find with our clients. We do our best to make the technology and our equipment familiar to them, explaining the advantages they can contribute. For instance, when I talk to a director of photography, I explain that they can now regain their power at last. Because when you work with traditional production, the director of photography are always concerned that their images are going to be changed somehow. Now it's not just a gaffer they need to have. They have two, because there's what I call the virtual gaffers, my colleagues that will be changing somehow the lighting. They don't just have an art director, they have two, because they have the virtual one, and also the person in charge of the lights, so that the light shines exactly on the right spot. It's not just one, there are two, the virtual one too.
How do we get there? So I keep it there. We've seen now where you are at, what you're working on, what you're observing, and we have been exploring the tech. Now we'd like to go to the part where I would like to explore with you the big promise of virtual production, because it seems that this virtual production are promising us like everything is possible somehow, right? But what does it really unlock? And maybe let's start with some basics with you, Bernard. What do you think, which doors does it really open? Maybe in the creative process to start with.
Well, I would say that each technology breakthrough obviously has shaped the new frontiers, new ways has shaped the language somehow, no? Like with when it was possible to cut the negative and to splice it together, and editing was possible, and language, cinematographic language was developed. Well, this technological breakthrough slowly, this of which mainly is the interaction of live and virtual elements. This is something that obviously is going to allow for a different kind of stories, and it is a new open border that we are opening, because the difference is, it's not that it was not possible before. The thing is that now the directors, they do not have to be VFX directors. That is the important thing, that there is real-time communication, that there's real-time interaction. And I think what this technology enables is that those directors that were not into this kind of VFX projects because they were afraid of the green screen, because of the delay of the decisions through months in post-production with a highly expert technical team and dialogue. Well, now there is a seed. It will take years, but there's a chance that we regain this capacity to create virtual worlds within an analog experience of directing. And I think this is really interesting.
I mean, a lot of what you're saying has to do with time savings. So do you really think that the time you are saving on certain processes and phases of the projects will allow you to have more time for creating crazy things?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the ability to have this interaction, it allows the spark of spontaneous creation, and I think it makes more fun. And after all, this is what we are all for in this industry, no? Okay. So
we were saying before, so that this is even accessible to productions which are not big Hollywood studios and have a great budget. So now I'm turning to you, but also to you, Pere, on this more business finances phase. What does virtual production promise us when it comes to money? And especially, I think, like, of course, The Mandalorian and etc. It was like huge things, and we had all these case studies in the press, in the professional press, and everyone was like, whoa, you know. But what's in for me if I am really a small, medium-sized production studio? Pere, what's your take on this?
Yes, and actually, I'd like to add on what Bernard was saying, that I think beyond the time efficiencies, I think that the new things, the potential of virtual production is already happening, is already allowing us to create new things. So there is things that we're seeing now in virtual production that were not possible before virtual production. The way that you see these virtual concerts, you know, whether it's in Fortnite or whether it's in, like they're doing now in other shows like the League of Legends finals and so on, how they bring animation into the stadiums. So these are already new things that were not possible through the analog, whether it's more efficient or less efficient. And then linking this to the money side of things, I think there's probably a misconception in the industry, because people talk, and it's true, about time efficiencies, but virtual production is not cheap as such. It is. It has a very expensive setup because it's a very technological setup, both on LEDs, walls, the tracking of the cameras, the software that goes, underneath, all the mock-up. Everything is quite high-tech, which means that the amortization period is a lot shorter than traditional setups for virtual sets and so on. And I think the people don't understand that actually to do a production, like to do a TV ad or to do any sort of acting using virtual production, won't necessarily be more cost-effective, but it can actually have a much greater result. It would be more cost-effective on elements where you're filming scenes that you're saving from location, traveling and moving everyone. The remote directing, as you were calling before as well, this is one of the things that you can have multiple teams working decentralized, into the same production in real time. This, of course, does save money, but it is something we're starting to see some examples of low-cost virtual production attempts that they're likely to more damage the industry than actually allowing it to flourish.
Yeah. So just on this, so it means if I wrap that up, you say, so there is an expensive setup, but there is a true return on investment, which is not only financial, but also creative, efficient, or in the quality of the results. So it is worth it. So of course, I'm asking myself, and maybe Pedro can say something also about this, like, how much do I have to invest for a minimal production? I mean, I know it's nearly impossible to answer because every production is very different and etc. But I mean, is there a minimum budget that if you tell me like, okay, if you have less than 300K, 1 million, X million, you don't even need to start with virtual production. So is there such a sum where you will say like, listen, you will need for a minimal setup, you will need a certain budget? Maybe you or you, Pedro?
Well, I wouldn't dare giving you a figure, but it's not cheap. 1 million euros or more, at least. But I can't give you a specific figure.
I mean, I'm sure we would need to know, right? We want to know these kind of things. So, Pere?
But a standard setup of LED corner, with all the technology and the camera tracking and everything, can easily require an investment of 1 million euros. So this is the level of money just to kit out, that sort of environment. Luckily, we have the engines, the real-time content engines like Unreal, that they're mostly free, and then we have the partners of on the integration layer, like these guys and other people that are facilitating all the ecosystem of what we can do with the content. That we don't have to create an additional investment on that side. But on the technology ecosystem, I think that is where the biggest costs are.
Yeah, Bernard, sorry, you wanted to say something since the beginning of this question.
I would say that obviously it's very expensive at the moment, especially when you want to obtain final pixel VFX in camera. So that, and you need camera tracking system, real-time rendering, that is a very expensive setup, and it's not for every production whatsoever. But with the smart thinking from the visual effects perspective, you can achieve good use of virtual production technology for some limited cases where you can really, without needing the extent of all the technology, you can still get solution for many situations which are very common. So there is, I believe, there is a gradual adoption of this technology where you can use it with more simple setups where you don't need camera tracking, for example. Obviously, you have to be extremely exigente, no? Extremely accurate, accurate in obtaining the best resolution from the LED, color consistency, without, what I mean is that without losing quality. I think in some small setups, thinking from the visual effects perspective, you can achieve good results without having to invest that much money. And that, I think that is something that
it will come up, yeah. It will develop for sure. It will democratize itself, so to speak. But Pedro, but also Pere, also if you like, do you think that there are specific formats you would actually recommend this? I mean, would you recommend virtual production equipment and investment to maybe producers who are more into daily serial business, like producing like crazy, like every day, and being able to react to this in series? Or maybe you would say like, hey, you are a documentary film production, like, well, don't bother, wait that it is cheap or something like that. Are there specific formats that where you say like, oh no, you should really invest, it is worth it?
Inverting in virtual reality. Now, as we are saying that it's very expensive, but the price is going to go down. It will be democratized, but I think I'm talking about the post-production and sets that they have this technology already. Big companies have already did this. In Spain too. But little by little, this technology will evolve, and it's just the beginning for a virtual production. And now we will see it more consolidated and prices will go down. Will I recommend this to a producer, to a production company? Well, it's a bit risky now because if you buy all this now, it's going to be lagging behind in a little while. It will be old-fashioned very quickly.
Is need in such tools and consulting for this? Do you feel it nearly physically, so to speak, when your clients are coming up?
Yes, you're right. Exactly. At technical level, honestly, I consider that except for experts in post-production, the rest of the people, we don't know anything about that. So we need advice. We need more expertise, and we need to know these processes in detail because we need to speak the same code and the same language as the experts. We need to know more about this technology when asking for specific services.
Shiny future telling us it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be more efficient, it's going to be more creative, you will have more time to create crazy things. Great. So if you want to get there, are you, Pedro, also suggesting maybe that to make it accessible, we will need more knowledge? Are you going to invest even more in training for this, for example? Would it only be for, I mean, like the usage of the equipment, for example, and also maybe in post-production with the changes that has happening in the post-production processes? Are you going to invest in this?
Totalmente de acuerdo.
I totally agree with you. We need to invest more in training. We have to put down this code and so that operators, assistants, and people working in the sets knows what they are facing with and what do they need to know. Sometimes people ask for things that are impossible. You cannot do this because you need to prepare with time ahead. So sometimes you ask for something, and even though it's a real-time engine, you need to press the button, and this minute that you need. Because in the sets, everybody is doing things at the same time, but you can have makeup, camera. This can be very fast, very quickly, but in virtual reality, virtual production, you cannot just add one more minute because everybody's looking at this person because you need one more minute because we don't speak the same language, the same code.
Do you think to get there even faster? Okay, we were saying there was already a great acceleration, everything is like crazy, but if we would like to accelerate it even more, what is still in the way to make it happen even faster? Is it only the investment, the money, or is it that you do not have the trained people to work with you on the... What is it what you miss?
Well, I think that we all learn by doing, and it is a matter of gaining experience. So I would say that it is important in the overall that there is that the professionals of each discipline learn the capabilities of this technology. So in the same way that we went from analog to digital, and on-set operators had to learn to use the Red One, Alexa, and they did a transition to digital, to the uses of digital camera. So now we all have to go from digital to virtual. This is this next evolution, and it would be good that the people that are trained, that know the procedures on set, they get used to be familiar in both environments. So a gaffer can be a real gaffer, but can be a virtual gaffer as well, or a grip and virtual grip. So I think the new, especially new generation, has to come with this ability, and it is important to train young people feeling comfortable in both physical and virtual environments.
So we need more, let's call them creative technologists, right? Like people navigating both worlds. Pere, yeah?
I think this is the biggest challenge for the growth of virtual production is there is a huge skill shortage at the moment. There is more demand for unreal content or real-time content production than people with the skills to do it. And I think beyond the investment infrastructure, it is about training, it is about talent acquisition, it is about upskilling people from the traditional industry into the new ways of working. It's also helping, let's say, the virtual natives like software developers, technical artists, and so on, to understand how broadcast and cinema works. So to bring together, so many disciplines, and now you bring also, the cloud specialists there as well because of all the remote working. But we're seeing even studios that they're kind of decentralizing, getting their production centers near universities because that is the only way that they can actually capture, people with Unreal Engine or Unity skills and so on. So this is going to be one of the biggest challenges. We are working with universities. We're working with private centers. I think Epic is already aware of this issue. We have several people on their Unreal Fellowship program to really become experts. But I think that's we're going to struggle to cope with the demand of work that is coming over the next 2 years.
Do you think that productions for now are really depending on certain consulting, or maybe having to ask for external consultancy to be able to produce this? You said yes also, Bernard, so this is something you observe, that you are asked to advise, or you need to advise or take advice. For all of you, this is true, it seems.
You do need to externalize a lot of the services. I think there are some time efficiencies, but normally clients, they have very demanding deadlines. So, in order to be able to do, sometimes they want to do like a virtual event with virtual production, which is 45 minutes long. And I think they're doing like a TV spot, that rather than 30 seconds is 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of content that is being produced for a single virtual production event. So, they don't really understand the workflows and required, the process. I think this is quite new as well for brands to understand the no return points in terms of approvals and so on. So that forces you to scale the final part into multiple studios. Mm-hmm. Luckily, because of cloud and everyone working within the same project, you would have on a single project, we may work with 4 or 5 different studios from the Nordics, from all over the world, but everyone collaborating within the same live project.
So who, and this question is to all of you, who would actually benefit from building a virtual production unit in-house? What kind of houses are there? I mean, like, which kind of productions would benefit from this? Anyone? Bernard? Pere, please.
We're lucky because we are a big, large group,
yes.
And we're made up of multiple production companies, broadcast companies, software companies, creative companies. So we do have the combination of the skills to have, let's say, an in-house team. But the in-house team is actually made up of multiple business units because of this diversity of talent.
And this is why it works.
This is why it works, and it hasn't even been easy. Being part of the same group, because you do have different ways of approaching a project. So it is a learning curve. It has been for us a learning curve, but that is allowed us now to understand the key stress points. When you do this level of production, but also you need that core knowledge in house to be able to then outsource some of the individual takes. Or without that central knowledge, it could become quite chaotic, and the results, when you talk in real time, they're likely to fail.
Mm-hmm. Bernard, you wanted to add something?
From my point of view, as a visual effects supervisor at Antaviana, what we have developed over the last years is an in-house knowledge of how is the pipeline, what skills, what technologies are needed, and then each project is different. So maybe for this one, you need camera tracking and LED screens, so then we go for the most appropriate vendor for that studio solution specifically. But some other projects, what require is technology like for world scanning, for scanning of real environments. So it's different depending on each project, like we go to each specific vendor to integrate in the pipeline that we have developed for the film.
Mm-hmm. So this is great because it gives some work also to supply equipment companies, like to work on this. And I wanted to ask maybe you, Pedro, but all of you knowing this, like where are most studios for virtual production based in the EU? How is it looking in Spain? Are there a lot of them? Because if you have a look on the international map, you see that virtual production is really like based in the States. I mean, like I think it is like 35% of the production is directly happening there. You have a huge demand in Asia. I mean, you have Japan, South Korea, China asking for a lot of for these productions, and then we have Europe there. And I wanted to know, like, how is it in Europe and how is it in Spain with studios? Do you have a lot of competitors, and how does it look like for you?
En Europa,
In Europe, well, Germany, the UK, because of their own technology development, hardware, software, and because they are producing virtual productions. In France also. In Spain, we have Orca, Media Pro, and I don't know if I forget another studio.
Perspective that Pedro was saying, I guess, they're occupying all the biggest cities. So there's now, I think, they mentioned, or someone opened now in Paris, another virtual production studio. But so you have Dimension in UK, investing heavily as well. But beyond the infrastructure, what we're seeing is that now what is the content creators, let's say the real-time animators. Those we're now tapping into markets that before, we would probably would not be related to traditional cinema production. And as I was saying, like Norway and some of these countries, but you see very talented people spread all over the world, and you could be, that is not related to the infrastructure or where the clients comes.
Yes. This is actually the perfect bridge to the last round of questions before I open up to the audience very quickly and briefly. But I mean, going from virtual production to production, as we were spoiling before, actually, because this is what's going to happen. So I would like to ask you, when do you think this is happening, that everything is turning virtual? How many years do you see? Maybe first to you, Bernard, and then I will add a question to Pere.
Well, I think it's a slow adoption. I don't think the technology is mature to be democratized. There's a lot of work to be in the standardization and interoperability before that happens. So, but I think now is the moment to get the training for that.
Yes, so. Absolutely. And going to you, Pere, even pushing it towards the future a little bit more, in which way can we expect that artificial intelligence, machine learning, is also entering the space where it is already, right, but pushing it to the next level? When do you expect this also to happen?
Well, as you said, it is already helping, but I think to me there's two parts that will come together. On one side, we're building these digital twins of the entire world, so all of a sudden you'll have a Getty images of your virtual production, any environment that you want, it will be ready there. But then the other part where I think artificial intelligence will actually could disrupt the way we think of cinema is we creating the hyper-realistic avatars. On one sense, we've seen some early work from Unreal on metahumans, and at the same time, we're adding a lot of intelligence to assistants. So therefore, it won't take too long before we can actually start directing avatars as if they were people being the actors of your movie, whether they may start as secondary actors. But being able to direct them at the end of the day, you see how artificial intelligence is being applied on the real world for autonomous driving. So we're able to recognize the environment. We're able to detect, how we should circulate and so on. We've seen it more and more into AAA games. With the level of hyperrealism that we're seeing now and with the real-time rendering, it won't be long before they become part of the movie as well.
Super interesting. And you, Pedro, maybe for the final word, and knowing that we need to get trained, we need to be open to what's happening. I mean, because it is happening and it will happen. We don't know exactly when, but we know it's coming, and we just need another virus to make it acceleration again. I mean, I don't want to enter into this discussion, but you know what I mean? If we have this again for a couple of years, we will need to really get even faster. So what would you recommend to people to get trained, maybe? What would you recommend to a production company who is not there yet and who does not know really how to deal with this? What would you recommend them?
We need training, that's clear, but at all levels. At technical level, operators level, production level, because producers need to understand all these processes. We need training, but the problem is that there's no training available. There are no training centers, not enough to receive this training and acquire these skills. And the people who need this training are shooting at the moment. There's so many films being created that they have no time for that, and they need lenses and they need production equipment. We need more time, and because there's a great demand, and we need more offer.
Minutes. So who has a burning question for one of our experts on stage? It's now or never. Talking about acceleration under pressure. Anyone? Although I have a next question in case you don't. I mean, yes, please. We have here a gentleman in this first row. Do we have a microphone or? Yes? I don't know where. Yeah, the microphone is coming. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hola, buenos días.
Hello, I'm Raúl de la Fuente. I'm a scene constructor. A company like mine, because I'm a set builder, can we get involved in this big change? So that my profession is, but I don't want to lose my profession because I'm a set builder and we worked for visual effects. We have great experience in big productions, and people need to build sets. If the budget allows for that, so we can have both parts. But companies like mine, set building company, are a bit left aside because visual effects take all the place. In general, yes.
Yo puedo empezar. Yo creo que
I think that the interaction between the virtual set and the real set is constant, and it's essential. You need to master both worlds. The first step is to extend your skills and your knowledge to virtual building. And you need to transform the objects that you create into virtual elements that can be easily integrated in the modeling and in the virtual environment that's being created. The virtual art department would do that. So you need to have a common language with them, and the virtual copy of what you're doing will be generated then. So you need to be in both worlds. That's the evolution of your art department. Yes, we are seeing this because I'm doing cycloramas now, big cycloramas. And I don't know to what extent scene construction or a set building can be improved so that it's integrated properly with the future of virtual production? Yes, it's very complex. You have to have a trained eye, you have to have experience to build the elements that will be integrated in virtual projection on LED screens, and you need to take into account how the screen reflection can affect the elements that have been built, what are the elements that hide the bottom edge of the LED screen, how to integrate color. All this knowledge, all this information is necessary, and it's something that you need to acquire. You need to learn that. It's fundamental for the dialogue between both worlds.
I have a question for the audience otherwise, so you... Anyone? You're very shy. Okay, yeah, you go. And then I will ask my question to the audience.
This is a brief question about how Epic and the other companies are trying to drive a standardization of the exchange formats for the different kinds of environment when we go between virtual production and real-time production. So there needs to be a good way to bring all the metadata and the tracking results and everything. So who is driving the harmonization of the formats in the industry right now? Is this a big fight, or is it something that everybody's trying to agree on?
Who would like to answer that? Pere?
We know, we're all aware of the massive efforts and investment that Epic are pouring in trying to, get across the entire ecosystem and becoming a little bit the standard. We're seeing, for example, NVIDIA when they created with Omniverse, and then they're using the open standards for 3D. And as a way of bringing any collaboration in real time from any type of software into the same project as well. Who is gonna, my personal bet? I think that one of the things that Unreal are doing very well is creating an ecosystem for partners like these guys and many other plugins that they work natively within Unreal. And that kind of keeps adding power into the capabilities of this. So even I think a few years ago, from when we work in virtual reality, I think our teams always started working on Unity, and and Unreal was something very difficult to use, and it wasn't at the level that Unity, and it's taken them like 3 years to just go past it, and even now they're creating also ecosystems like Core. Core is like a gaming platform where Unreal gives you the tools to create the game without coding. So when we go to that level, all of a sudden you say, okay, there is a huge demand on content. People, we won't have enough technical people, but we'll need storytellers, and storytellers with the tools. Then they can just, create really beautiful things. So I think that's where we'll drive democratization and this perspective.
And that's a very good conclusion words, actually, because you said natively. And this is what the next generation is going to come. But we still have to adapt before this next generation. We will have to train this next generation, actually, right, to make it happen. So, and this is great because you make the transition to my very last question to all of you. It's just a little question. Don't worry, it's not so technical. As you probably know, Netflix has recently announced that they will be trying out some gaming functions. You probably also Bandersnatch, and now they want to go further within the gaming functions on their platform. So my question, and you can answer with yes or no with your arm, considering that virtual production uses a game engine and the lines between games and films is increasingly being blurred, do you see gaming and films coming together in the future? I would like to know, to make a small, what is it called? Yeah, survey. So who thinks that film and games will blur in the future? Thinks of Ready Player One, etc. Higher, so that I can see everything. okay? Who thinks that film is going to stay as they are and games are going to stay as they are? Well, that's a little bit less, I would say, right? It's a little bit less, right? So you are actually thinking we will integrate some of these techniques and usages at the end. Okay, it was just my personal curiosity. Thank you for playing with me that little game of this little survey. I have to thank you to stay there, put about virtual production. And I want to thank my great three panelists. And now we're going to see how the next generation is winning the awards, right? And see how we did this. So thank you so much to all of you, Bernard, Pere, Pedro, and see you soon in San Sebastian, hopefully, for the next gen virtual production.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have an announcement of the winner here now? Okay, so we have to move from the stage, right? We did not win anything. Ah, damned. Okay. Thank you very much. Do you want me to stay on stage? So we'll do it right away. We are announcing the winner of the Zinemaldia Technology Startup Challenge, and it's there. I thought maybe it's somewhere else, but it is there. So we will have them on stage, so the jury is coming. Yes, so we have Sarah, we have Francesco, we have Anya. So who wants to come on stage? There is a microphone here. I have to be away from you, obviously, but I'm excited. I had my favorite. I'm not going to say, of course, but...
I will open the envelope.
Oh, my God. So, and the winner is?
The winner is...
Hold on, are they here?
Kinetics.
Kinetics, yes.
Sorry. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Très bon pitch, I have to say. Yeah.
For us, the technology innovation was very disruptive. The benefits for the sectors, very fast, very automatized, cheaper, and also the possibility of the collaboration with our Basque technology centers, Technalia, Bicontech, in the future product and service developments. So, very nice project. We wish you the best for the future, and also the best for the collaboration with the Basque country here. Thank you. Okay.
Anyway, we were saying, well, first of all, congratulations to the winner, obviously. C'est vraiment très, très bon pitch. Et moi aussi, je suis tout à fait convaincue. Et je peux avouer que c'était vous aussi. Mais bref. Okay. I'm just the moderator here, so what do I say? No, but this is great. And as we know, all 5 nominated people who have been pitching here have an access to further training, to further funding. So I think everybody is a winner here. And I think also the festival is a winner to have such a section. So thank you so much for having hosted this year. And let's go to the future. Are there any further announcements here now on stage? We're done? Okay, you're ready to go to the future? Let's go. See you soon again there.